There are some wild theories about Old Nan from A Song of Ice and Fire, but I haven't seen anyone posit the one I'm about to float your way. She was called Old Nan when Ned Stark was a boy, and he's around 36 in the first book. She's Hodor's great-grandmother. Her two sons died in Robert's Rebellion, 15-ish years before the first book, and her grandson died in the Greyjoy Rebellion about 9 years before the first book. We don't know how many daughters she had, but there was more than one, and they all married, moved away, and died. We don't know from which of her children Hodor is descended, although we know his real name is Walder, which makes me think one of Old Nan's daughters, or more likely granddaughters, married into the Frey family. As far as I know, there are no Walders who are not part of the Frey family. No Walder Tullys or Walder Targaryens. YouTubist Bridge4 suggested Old Nan was the 15-year-old Frey girl, Walder Frey's older sister, set to marry Lord Butterwell in the Dunk and Egg story The Mystery Knight. As Butterwell lost his castle and 90% of his wealth, Bridge4 suggests young Nan fled and eventually found herself at Winterfell, where she became a wet nurse. I am dubious about this for a couple of reasons. A Game of Thrones tells us the collection of Walders are all named after their ancestor to curry his favor. If Old Nan was Walder's older sister, why would her granddaughter name Hodor after her grunkle? There would be zero chance Hodor would inherit, so this already pokes a few holes in this idea. Not to mention, Bridge4 has to make some guesses on the timeline. A Game of Thrones is just vague enough on which Brandon she was a wet nurse for. If it was Bran's grunkle Brandon, that might line up with Bridge4's theory, but we don't know if it was that Brandon or not. Pretty much everyone agrees young Nan will show up in the fourth Dunk and Egg story with the working title, The She-Wolves of Winterfell. In A Dance with Dragons, Bran has visions of the past and sees a girl who kissed a knight as tall as Hodor. Most people take this to be Duncan, and since Old Nan is Hodor's great-grandmother, this slender girl would be young Nan. Whenever The She-Wolves of Winterfell comes out, maybe Bridge4's theory will be confirmed, and we'll find out Dunk and Egg helped her escape from her husband and get a job at Winterfell. But it's too early to confirm. If I don't think Nan is a Frey, then who is she? I think she was once a wildling. In A Game of Thrones, Bran is thinking about how the crow in his dream told him he could fly, and he's disappointed that he can't. Old Nan says all crows are liars. Interestingly, he doesn't mention the crow. He's thinking about it. Some people have made something of this, but this is a little while after he woke up from his coma. He could have mentioned it a few times before this chapter, and Old Nan heard him whine about the crow already. Or, if you're into these theories that Old Nan is more magical than she appears, maybe she can read Bran's mind, I don't know. Anyway, this got me to thinking. It's possible Nan is in story mode, and whenever your great-grandmother tells you a story, she personifies animals in the story. That is possible. Nan is known for her stories. But what if she's not talking about the animal the crow? Who do we know who refers to other people as crows? The wildlings. They constantly refer to the Night's Watch as crows. You may say this isn't enough evidence, and you're right. But when Nan is telling Bran about the Long Night from a bazillion years ago, she talks about direwolves, which haven't been seen south of the Wall in 200 years. Okay, nothing ironclad. Theon has heard of direwolves, so Old Nan certainly could have. But she mentions the wildlings consorting with giants, and they haven't been seen south of the Wall since the days of the First Men, well over 1,000 years before this story. Giants still exist beyond the Wall, and are allied with the wildlings. How would she know about giants unless she has seen them? If she's a wildling, why is she talking smack about them? There are different clans of wildlings. Maybe she's talking about the other groups. Or maybe she just didn't like living beyond the Wall and wanted a safer life for her kid. She's right about wildlings taking women. She could have just not been into it. The World of Ice and Fire tells us the wildlings crossed the Wall in 226, 72 years before A Game of Thrones. We're not told any women crossed, but maybe they did. And even if Old Nan didn't cross then, we know other wildlings have made it past the Wall. In A Game of Thrones, Asha and her companions did. It's possible for a wildling to have made it south, and maybe she pled for haven at Winterfell, finding it preferable to life with the wildlings. I have about as much evidence as Bridge4 that she's a Frey, or Michael talks about stuff that she's a child of the forest. But it's fun to speculate, and with so little evidence to confirm or deny any theory, we can all have our own, and we can keep believing them until we have something more concrete to go on. What do you think? Plausible? Nonsense? Let me know, and in the meantime, I'll see you in the future with some other video. Until next time, have a good one.